Yeah,
Really?
That's whenever people talk about the Memphis history, I'm always like, Eddie Bond show was outlasted all them motherfuckers.
Well, wait a minute. You mean on radio or TV?
No, TV.
A local on channel?
It was, at first it was 3, 5, or 13 or something. Because the first, I guess it was a 15-minute show in the mornings. And I guess Elvis used to watch it and all this kind of stuff. And
you think so? I thought he hated Eddie Bond.
No.
No? Okay.
That's a whole rumor about Eddie Bond being the guy to tell him to go drive a truck.
Right.
That never happened. Somebody else told him. But that's
okay.
been just,
How did that get attached to Eddie?
I don't know. He's good. He's going to blow up.
Yeah.
You need to fire him. So Eddie fired him. But then when he started blowing up, they're like, hey, you need to get that Elvis kid back in here. He's like, that ship's done
So
sailed.
you're talking about
you done blew it. You had me fire him. There's no coming back from that.
Hey, this is Dennis Black with the Black and Wyatt Records podcast. Today we have filmmaker and sculptor Mike McCarthy talking with multi-talented Joey Killingsworth of the George Jonestown Massacre, a band that came out of Memphis and tours just about everywhere. In today's podcast, Joey talks about his connections with his father Bojack, Eddie Bond, Thor, Black Flag, Jello Biafra, The Birthday Party, W.S. Holland, MC5, The Stooges, Alice Cooper, and even Barbara Mandrell. Joey also provided rare photos that were used in the Black and White reissue of the 1963 Savad Berry's Rock and Roll single. We're going to start the podcast off with Eddie Bond and Joey's father, Bojack, performing Memphis, Tennessee.
Could not leave her number, but I know a place to call. Cause Monroe took the message and he wrote it on the wall. Distance information, more than that I cannot add. Only that I miss her and all the fun we had. Rome is on the south side, high up on the ridge, just a half a mile from the Mississippi Bridge. Get in touch with my Marie. She's the only one who'd call me here from Memphis, Tennessee. We were pulled apart because her mom did not agree, and pulled apart our happy home in Memphis, Tennessee.
Joey Killingsworth.
Yes, that's it.
How the hell do you get a name like that?
Man, the full name is as country as you can get. Bobby Joe Killingsworth II, country and metal.
You should have been in prison already.
I should have went with begin with like that's country and metal. It ties it all together.
You've never killed anyone, have you?
Nope. Got
With a
relatives
name-
that have. But
With a name like that.
I'm off the record. My dad got some crazy stories about his with Eddie Bond and all them guys.
Well, that's why we're here.
Yeah, I can't tell.
Dennis has got some Eddie Bond stories.
Oh no shit.
Yeah. Well, don't have a mic on Dennis though.
He was like basically an uncle. He was around from when I was born, basically. My dad was playing with him since '68, and I was born in '71. So from me being born, he was around.
Wow. So he was like your uncle,
Pretty much.
Uncle Eddie.
I'd always see him and he'd start singing that song, Hey Joe, where'd you get that pretty girl? Anytime I seen him, the first thing he'd say, Hey Joe, where'd you get that pretty girl? Whatever the song is.
I saw him at the Western Steak Lounge once in the late 90s, and saw him at, what's the name of the Ponchos where the Starbucks is now at McLean and Union.
Yes.
Saw him there, and then I saw him at Ponderosa Stomp, I guess when the hurricane came through and it got relocated to Memphis. Am I remembering that right? So that's weird that I've seen Eddie Bond that many times.
So I started playing with him like 99 because I didn't like country. My dad's always trying to get me to play country, and I hated it.
Because it was too produced.
All I was hearing was just Barbara Mandrill at the house, that kind of stuff. And I like the heavy stuff, so I was like, my dad come home, I got $100 for 30 minutes. I ain't selling out. I got free beer. And then when I started getting into country and started hearing Cash and digging back and a paycheck and all that stuff, then he's like, him and Eddie both, you could have been on the show. You could have met, was it Ernest Tubb and all these people. And one thing I do regret is he asked me to play the Coliseum. He led the Grand Ole Opry band when they had Paycheck, and I think Justin Timberlake sang there when he was like 12. But my dad led the band. It's Hank Thompson, Johnny Paycheck. And he asked me to play guitar, and I said, no, I ain't selling out. And then that's the one I regret because Johnny Paycheck.
Wait, how old were you?
16, 17.
So you're a prodigy of sorts.
I got into country probably like late 90s. And then started kind of really loving the Ernest Tubb and digging back into the whole thing. But,
Carter Family and stuff like that?
Yeah, but all the Barbara Mandrill and the 80s flashy stuff, I just...
Well, when you say Barbara Mandrill, I think about the NBC TV show with the sisters.
Yes.
Yeah.
So that would be on at the house, and I'm like, and I'd go with
They were sort of the Charlie's Angels of country music.
Yes. Yeah. I can see that. Yeah.
The three sisters, and that was very popular, yeah. So what was the name of your dad's band that was playing with Eddie?
They were called Eddie Bond and the Stompers, and he was like the side guy to Eddie. Eddie since 68, and he was like the right-hand guy. He was Cousin Bojack and wore like crazy overalls and a hat. And then when they...
Like Spec Rhodes would or something?
Not sure who that is, but probably the same thing.
Well, he was on Hee Haw, and he did a circuit.
He'd kind of be the funny guy.
Yeah.
But then I guess they did that, and then it picked back up in the 80s, and then ran all the way through the mid to late 90s on Fox Channel, the Eddie Bond Show.
That's news to me. Did you know about that, Dennis?
Yeah,
really?
That's whenever people talk about the Memphis history, I'm always like, Eddie Bond Show was outlasted all of them.
Well, wait a minute. You mean on radio or TV?
No, TV.
A local on channel?
It was 3, 5, or 13 or something. Because the first, I guess, it was a 15-minute show in the mornings, and I guess Elvis used to watch it and all this kind of stuff. And
you think so? I thought he hated Eddie Bond.
No.
Okay.
That's a whole rumor about Eddie Bond being the guy to tell him to go drive a truck.
Right.
That never happened. Somebody else told him.
But that's okay. How did that get attached to Eddie?
I don't know. He's good. He's going to blow up.
Yeah.
You need to fire him. So Eddie fired him. But then when he started blowing up, they're like, hey, you need to get that Elvis kid back in here. He's like, that ship's done sailed. You done blew it. You had me fire him. There's no coming back from that.
Are you talking about the Clearpool Eagles Nest days?
I'm not sure. I just always heard that story, but I never really asked where it was.
Well, I just came off a tour, bus tour with a bunch of folks, showing them around Memphis. Of course, you can't go out down Lamar very far to do all this esoteric stuff, but the Eagles Nest was at Winchester and Lamar, and they tore it down about a month ago. I mean, it's been deserted and ramshacked for years. It was the Americana Club back in the 80s. Pogo's, the punk rock club, was next to it for a while.
See, I'm never familiar with that either.
Pogo's club, the Go-Go's played there. 999 played there from England. I wasn't living here then, and of course missed all that by a year or so. The Eagles Nest, July 1954, Elvis records That's All Right. Then, because of the success on Red Hot and Blue, he records Blue Moon of Kentucky like a few days later for the B-side. Then he goes to the Eagles Nest with Eddie Bond, and he performs 8 shows. He doesn't get paid. Sam drives him out there. That
might have been the place in.
Yeah. And he ends the month of July 54 by performing at the Shell in the pink. The Baz Luhrmann look.
But that's when he kind of blew up, and everybody's like, you need to get this dude back. And he's like, too late. My dad went to school with Buford Pusser and was friends with him and introduced Buford to Eddie. And then Eddie made the Buford Pusser records, and that led to the movies and all that.
Well, did your dad play on on Eddie's records?
I'm not sure what all he's played on. I know he's played on some. Like there's one I bought at Shangri-La live at the might have been live at the Steakhouse Lounge or something like that. And he's on it.
Wait, live at the Steakhouse Lounge. What?
Live? I forgot. It's
a record?
It's some record. I'll send you a picture of it when I look it up because I bought my dad one at Shangri-La, and then I found me one. I was like, "There's one more," and I got it live somewhere. But it's Eddie and it's my dad and Wilford Ray and some other people.
Well, if you find another one, get it for me. I'll pay you back.
And my dad has one single he put out, but then he's like, "Yeah, I randomly just played on drums on this and that, or guitar on this and that." He's got a poster where it's him and Eddie Bond and Webb Pierce all doing a show together, and I think it was like a quarter to get in. Somebody gave him, one of his buddies that was at the show. Because at the time, he's like, I was as famous as all these people were on the show. I didn't care. But at that time, there's only 3 channels.
Right.
But the one thing he does say he regrets is because he was buddies with Jackie Fargo. They're tight. My dad would bartend with Jackie Fargo. And then one night, they call from Graceland. They're like, Jackie, you want to come hang out at Graceland? We're having a party. Hey, bring your bartender. Because Jackie's like, hey, I'm hanging out with my bartender. We're just hanging out up here. And he's like, well, hey, bring your bartender and come on down to Graceland. We're having a party. My dad thought, come bartend at their parties. Mm-hmm. And that's the one thing he goes, I regret.
Have we even said your dad's name?
Cousin Bojack. Or he goes by just Bojack now.
But what's his real name?
Bobby Killingsworth.
Okay. Now, what did his father do? Did he play?
He was a cop in Memphis. He was one of the group that helped catch Machine Gun Kelly down on Beale Street. I think he took out a couple people or something. I don't know. There's all kinds of
Machine
stories.
Gun Kelly never killed anybody.
No, I'm talking about my granddad.
Oh. Hopefully they were...
They're the bad guys.
Okay. Are we going to get around to talking about...
Oh, yeah. I didn't know we started yet. Okay.
The past is intriguing, though, especially when the person, that I'm talking to is so connected to the past.
Well, my first show was playing drums with my dad when I was 15. Because it's simple stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So my first show ever was 15 back in Jumpin' Gene Simmons and Carrie Lewis when she was pregnant with whatever son she had then.
Okay.
We were, like I told you, we were on tour with Thor, the 80s metal guy who made Rock and Roll Nightmare.
We're dropping
movies.
right down in the middle of this now.
Well, this ties into that because we, before our show at the Whiskey in 2020.
Which was the last
show at the Whiskey before they closed down for the pandemic.
Did it ever reopen?
Yeah. We just played there a couple weeks ago.
Okay.
Yeah, it opened up. But that night, we went to the Rainbow. Me, Thor, my band, and...
who's your band at the time?
That was, who was it? Brian Costner and David Wade. But we're at a booth.
Whoa, what's the name of the band?
It's always Joecephus
Oh, okay.
stuff.
It's always, okay.
With the touring.
And can you describe Thor real quick, like how he looks?
He's a big muscle-bound guy. He got a start in Las Vegas. He was like on... the Gong Show and stuff like that, I believe, back in the day. He was his weightlifter. He came up with Schwarzenegger and Lou Ferrigno. In his shows, he'd bend steel.
Is he in Pumping Iron?
He's not pumping iron, but he's a weightlifter dude, and he would bend steel and blow up the airbags and stuff so they blew up.
Okay, so you're at the Rainbow with this guy.
So we're hanging out. A table that's basically facing us is some people from England. Hey, can you take a picture of us? Because we're playing the Whiskey with this guy tonight. We're hyped. Can you take a picture? And they're like, sure. And we're like, you look familiar. And we're like, well, he's got a movie called I'm Thor, a documentary on him about Netflix. It's on Netflix. And they're like, where are you from? And we're like, Memphis. And they're like, oh, big star. Yeah. And it all went to Memphis.
Right.
Stax, Memphis.
So, okay, so you played that last show, March 2020. You have no idea that...
We actually went, we did the Whiskey, and that's what, because we played, pandemic started happening, I think we played Denver with him, and he would fly in to meet us at shows. Then by the time we did some of our own shows and got to the Whiskey, he'll fly in and meet us. We did the Whiskey last show there, and it closed. And then we went to Vegas and played this place called Evil Pie, Evil Knievel themed pizza place. And we had a day off the next day. We're sitting there going, well, this is getting bad. Everything's closing down, and me and the drummer, David Wade, are like, when they start closing down the casinos, we are fucked. And then on the news, tomorrow the casinos are closing. And so Thor's like, I got to fly back to Canada. I may not even be able to get my country.
Right.
Then we thought we'd get locked into a city, get stuck somewhere. So we canceled the rest of the tour and drove the 3 8-hour days home back to Memphis from Vegas.
Wow.
But since then, since the pandemic let off, we done been to the West Coast like 2 more times, and East Coast, Florida, a couple more trips to Texas.
This was Joecephus.
Yeah. We're always just touring.
I think that might be a good cue to play a song, right?
Sure. Oh, I don't even remember what I sent you. Prescription Savior.
I was a mess, like nothing you have seen, until I found out about benzodiazepine. Now I am steady and ready to believe, and my insurance card's my ace up my sleeve. Well, I found sweet Jesus when I lost my mind. I once was decided, but now I'm blind. And anyone say that I ain't had my fill, I found my savior in a prescription pill. I've been such an anxious young man for so long. Stress made me nervous, my nerves not so strong. I always felt like I was ready to break, until I found the answer the drug companies make. Well, I found sweet Jesus when I lost my mind. I once was decided, but now I'm blind. Can anyone say that I ain't had my fill? I found my savior in a prescription pill. Some people I know deal with trouble on their own, but all my problems pass while my memory's gone. I can almost imagine a home in paradise, where you don't have to swallow a pill just to feel nice. Well, I found sweet Jesus when I lost my mind. I once was decided, but now I'm blind. Can anyone say that I ain't had my fill? I found my savior in a prescription pill.
Bad seeds on there, and then when people heard it, they were like, thought we were gonna do a bunch of weird shit with it. We're like, no, we went traditional old school country. And then what I loved is all the reviews are like, do we need another Johnny Cash tribute record? Like, apparently we do, because this guy who put this together, we did 5 Minutes to Live, Sound of Laughter, The Losing Kind, and Long Black Veil, just an EP. But everybody's like, and we had Mick Harvey from The Birthday Party and the Nick Cave's Bad Seeds singing 5 Minutes to Live, a murder ballad. So everybody's like, we didn't do the hits, we didn't do, you know, Ring of Fire, any of that. We went deep cuts, and that worked in our advantage. We didn't know we needed this.
Okay, so we just came out of this song and we just hit record. So what are we talking about here?
W.S. Holland played on a Joecephus and the George Jonestown Massacre EP called 5 Minutes to Live.
Do you remember when we had Holland come and we gave him a little award and gratitude while we were trying to raise money for the Cash statue?
I believe so.
And that was the first time he had ever been acknowledged in Memphis for playing with Johnny Cash.
Oddly enough, when Cash died, I got the hook up, and me and my dad went to the Ryman for the memorial they had and filmed for CMT. That was 2 hours on TV, but it was like a 5-hour thing. They didn't have WS there because I guess there was a lawsuit or something at the time, because Marshall Grant was there because that had all been settled from their lawsuits. But so while WS was playing it with a band at the Sheraton that night, because we stayed at the Sheraton and we went and watched him and hung out, and I was like, hey, WS, I got tickets. Me and Bo going to go to the memorial at the Ryman. He's like, I did not even know about this.
Yeah.
Like, oh, awkward.
Right.
That's not a good conversation.
Well,
But he was a super nice guy.
yeah. I was around him a couple of times and very grateful that he wanted to come to Memphis, because I think he kind of dismissed it, you know, or like at that point.
He spent the day with us because our drummer, Dick Ledoux.
Dick Ledoux.
Yeah, he's got this house overlooking the river, and I just know when like overlooking a lake, and the outside has these different layers where it looks like a Ewok village.
He's got a name overlooking a lake.
Yeah,
Dick Ledoux.
But Louisiana.
Okay.
But so WS came in. He's like, "What do you do? I know you didn't pay for this house counting to 4." playing drums.
Ah.
It's funny, but he kept trying to sell us his a boat or some trailers and shit or something. He had a van. That's what he's trying to sell us, his bus. He's trying to sell us his bus. But he had a bunch of pictures he brought. He was showing us, and then he goes, "Well, this is me and Johnny. We're playing for the president, and over here's another one. Us playing with the president." And I was like, "Well, what president?" "Oh shit, I don't remember. We played for a couple of them." I was like, "That's the coolest thing I'll ever hear." That's the most rock and roll line right there.
So all roads lead back to Eddie Bond.
Seems to be.
Well,
through Eddie, I got to meet WS, and we got to do shows playing with him and play with the original Comets. All the Rockabilly guys through him. Met Paul Burleson.
It seems to me like when you said you were a kid and you hated country, and it was a slow understanding between what you understood country to be.
I dived more into it when I was in my 20s.
But did Rockabilly sort of help you? Elvis, Sun
I liked
Records,
all that.
people.
It all kind of blended because I started liking the Billy Lee Rileys and all that stuff, the Paul Burlesons, and then especially meeting the guys.
Well, it's a far stretch from Eddie Bond to Thor.
It's weird because we like even with the whole my band situation. Like I've been lucky enough to go play with Waylon's band, but then we've also backed Shooter Jennings when he came to town. We're buddies with him now. But then we've played with HR Bad Brains and Agent Orange, and then I had my other band.
You played. What do you mean you played with him? You backed them up?
With Shooter, we backed him. He came sang with us. I sang with Waylon's band. We've backed up. Who else? I played a bunch of shows in Black Oak, Arkansas.
And this is as Joecephus?
It all kind of interchanges. It's kind of that's just the name for me in a revolving cast. With Super Witch, we played with I lined up the Black Flag, Black Oak, Arkansas Super Witch show.
Right.
That happened.
What year was that? That was at the High Talk?
Young Avenue Deli.
Young Avenue Deli.
That was probably 2014. But with the Joecephus stuff, we played with everybody from, like I say, HR Bad Brains to David Allen Coe, Johnny Winter, Mike Watt.
Did Johnny Winter remember being here at the Blues Festival in '69?
We played with him in Little Rock. And they kind of helped him on stage, and he couldn't see, but they put the guitar in his hand, and he just started ripping. And killed it. And the crowd was older. Way older. So I was like, are we going to calm down our set? Or are we just going to mellow it out? I was like, no, hell, let's do our thing.
So you're saying when they found out you were from Memphis?
Yeah. Because that kind of led to the Lafayette conversation.
Right.
Because I didn't even know Kiss played there, but now there's a bootleg record of Kiss at Lafayette.
Wow. I feel like we should cut to that.
They've got that, I think, at the record store on Bill Street. They carry that.
Okay. Wait a minute. Schwab or?
No, the one that Robert Allen Parker works at.
I see him quite a bit. I see his Fleetwood Mac cover band.
He played on the
Landslide.
MC5 tribute with us.
Okay, so, man, there's so much to talk about. Should we cut to another song real quick?
Sure.
A Joecephus song, or do you want to play Super Witch? Set the song up and tell me who the members are.
Super Witch is El Dorado Del Rey from the Portugals. Chris McCoy, he was in Piss Horse. John Pickle, I was in Mung with John Pickle. We used to do the wacky dress-up shows. And that was all the guys from Super Witch.
Coming down like a mountain of ice, he's got lightning in his hands and he's ready to strike. Watch out for Wolfbane Blue, they got bands and tanks and they bark in the mud.
All right, that was Super Witch. We got Joey Killingsworth here talking about Joecephus and the George Jonestown Massacre.
Yes, sir.
Tell me a little bit about the origin of that band. We got more songs to play by them as well.
That band started as a joke because I got a bad review at work. My boss gave me a bad review, and I wrote a song about him called Quitting Time.
You actually worked?
Yeah. I was a computer tech.
Oh, no.
I work on laptops. But so
I got one I could show you.
this little jokey song called Quitting Time, which I slaughter the boss in it in a very funny way. Rock 103, when it was Tim Spencer and the Morning Crew, they play this every morning for 7 weeks in a row. And then it got to be where people were calling requesting it. Then people from my work are calling requesting it. The boss finally called me in the office. He was like, I want to be mad, but the song's funny. And I can't be mad. And he goes, apparently it's doing something for you. And then when I quit my job, my day job, they got me a cake that said it's quitting time.
So it's kind of like the hard rock version of Take This Job and Shut It?
Yeah. Oh, it was a country song.
Why don't we cut to that and play that?
I'll email you a version of that.
All right, here goes. This is Quitting Time, and what's the band on this?
Me with Don Mayall on drums, Rich Wager on upright bass. Who played on that?
Don't ask me.
Scott Forbes. I take it back. Scott Forbes on drums, and then a steel player who I don't remember because that was like 19 years ago.
Well, I was sitting around the house, smoking grass, thinking all the way still my boss kissed my ass. I think I found the right words to say. I'm sick of you telling me what to do, so I got 2 words: fuck you. I think that just about says it all. I think I represent a whole lot of people out there. Don't seem to be getting their fair share. Kiss my ass, kiss my grits. Adios, you son of a bitch. I think it's time I say goodbye. Goodbye, motherfucker. Boss has been here for 2 years, and I've been here 3 years more. He'll wash your balls if he thinks he'll open doors. Now the day is finally here. Get ready, y'all, to stand and cheer. Well, I'm saying what y'all been wanting to say. I think I represent a whole lot of people out there. Don't seem to be getting their fair share. Kiss my ass, kiss my grits. Adios, you son of a bitch. I think it's time I say goodbye. I think it's time I say goodbye. Why quit, motherfucker?
Which I don't know if we even put a band name on it. I did a country song called Cityfied for John Pickles' movie, The Importance of Being Russell.
I'm in that.
Oh, that's,
I'm the crazy preacher.
Yes. Well, that's what led to all of it. When I first kind of got into country and like, I'm going to make a country record. But then as I was making that, then went to Quitting Time, I was like, but I also want to play metal. So it was like, well, I'll just do country and metal.
Oh,
because what
Lord.
can happen?
Right.
But then the way we started touring is instead of where most bands will just go out and, night, I would look and find a show within an 8-hour radius of us, and it happened to end up being David Allan Coe shows. And I would get us on a bill with one of them so that way we could go play a show and then put a couple little shows around it. So right out the gate, you're playing to 500 to 800 people.
But you also know how to book a show, and you know how to play in other places where other bands seem to be trapped here in some.
I
in
read
some
Martin
sensibilities.
Atkins' book, Tour Smart.
Okay,
And
Tour Smart.
He had the idea, like with Pigface, it covers everything you need to know about touring. He even covers, if you're on a tour bus with a bunch of people doing drugs, you really have to think about stuff like that. If you got some guy that likes methamphetamine over here, and he's sharing a bus with this guy over here who's in the downers, and this guy over here likes acid, this guy's coming down, and this guy's just being obnoxious, because that's real stuff you got to deal with the personalities of. But through that book, I really took that, and I talked to him about it. I'm like, man, I took what you did, and I kind of applied it to my own thing. Mm-hmm.
Oh, my God.
And he came to Memphis to talk.
But you even knew about the book.
I had the book, but then I started booking Black Oak, Arkansas, so I started booking us with them. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, I ain't worried about commission. I'll just book us and them. So that ended up through that kind of connections and doing that stuff, I could book us in we played Antone's in Austin, Texas, and then a Dallas date. But then, well, both bands need hotels. So they put us up at a Sheraton or something and then playing because they don't know. They think we're on tour with these people all the time. Same as if you're going opening for a band out of town. They don't know you're not on tour with them. So they just know they never heard of you, so they think you're touring with them. Then I started booking Black Oak. It led to me booking Molly Hatchet. It led to me booking David Allen Coe. Then getting us on shows with him and then just steadily booking till I started booking J.D. Pincus from the Butthole Surfers, and that kind of really got me going where I started booking Nick Turner from Hawkwind and became a booking agent.
So, okay, but musically there is no real. Is there a connective like musical interest between Black Oak, Arkansas, and Butthole Surfers and Hawkwind? Because those all seem to be three different camps.
All yet on the Black Oak, Arkansas tribute we did, because I had Nick Turner play sax on a song with us and J.D. Pincus covering Swimming in Quicksand, and through that led me booking Nick Turner's tours. We were hanging out with one of Greg Ginn's friends, and he's like, me and Greg, you smoke a lot of weed, talk about what would be cool, Black Flag, Arkansas. So fast forward a couple years later.
Fast forward.
We get Greg. Greg was the main first guest on. Shooter Jennings joined us and did Hot Rod when we thought we were going to put out a single because we recorded Fever in My Mind with Jim Dandy, and we had Hot Rod left over, so Shooter did that. So we were going to put out a single, but nobody was really interested in putting it out. Then I had the idea for the tribute album because I want to work with Greg Ginn. How can I get my heroes on my record?
Which tribute album?
Black Oak, Arkansas. Mm-hmm. So I was like, how can I do this? I went, Greg's into animals. I like animals a lot. We'll give all the money to an animal rescue. Gave it to the Savior Foundation here in Memphis. Got Greg Ginn on board. Greg later on puts me in the band on a guest list in Fayetteville on a day off. I go give Greg Ginn a bunch of signed Black Oak stuff, and he's signing my Black Flag stuff. And then later, that's when Ron Reyes, old school Black Flag singer, was still singing in the band with him for like the reunions in 2014 or something like that. So I go up to Ron Reyes. I'm like, hey, I'm the dude that gave Greg all that Black Oak stuff. He's like, yeah, you ever want to make Greg Ginn a happy man, book Black Flag with Black Oak, Arkansas? I went, I'm their booking agent, and I will do that. It took a year, but at the deli, it happened.
Why would Greg Ginn be into Black Oak, Arkansas?
He loved the Grateful Dead, too.
Well, I read that, and that also is a puzzler to me because I would think punk and Grateful Dead would be the furthest things.
It's kind of like when you look back and think about MC5 and Stooges, they're heavily into free jazz and Sun Ra and all this kind of stuff.
Well, they were maybe into John Coltrane or something,
Very
right?
much so, yes.
But that to me is more maybe understandable. I know Kramer just passed away, and so there was some talk about the jazz connections.
Well, Keith Morris, me and him used to talk on Facebook before I met him the other day. Well, he's saying he does on our MC5 tribute, but me and him were talking around the time this record came out, and he used to see Black Oak back when they used to play the Whiskey. Yeah.
That was their number one fan.
Yeah.
Was the guy, right?
But like Keith Morris and all them people were like, we love Black Oak. And they're like, we get what you're doing, because I was trying to line them up with heavier bands, and they're like, I get it.
Well, I guess I'm trying to swing you around here to the MC5 thing so we can talk about that and play something there too. So tell me about that.
Also, after the Black Oak thing, we did the Johnny Cash one with WS.
Okay, that was in between.
But then after that, went and had a bunch of margaritas.
Here we go.
Heard some nads on the radio. I called Dick Ledoux, who's my partner and all this stuff. He does all the recording. Me and him work together on the records. I got an idea. Hair of the Dog, all the way through. Okay, Joe. Whatever you say, man. I was like, I'm serious. I got it. Had some margaritas. Hair of the Dog. So
does he have that accent?
That was my accent.
Okay.
That was my margarita accent.
Okay.
So fast forward like a week or two, a couple weeks later, I'm talking on Facebook to Ryder from Nashville Pussy, and I'm like, because they were one of the first bands that kind of really believed in us when we were doing the Black Oak tribute. They took their one day off on their 22-day tour and came recorded at the house with us. So I was telling Ryder, I'm like, hey, I think I had this crazy idea. We're going to do Hair of the Dog, the whole album. And my thing is, once I get a guest locked in, like Greg was the big guest in the first one. We also had Shooter from the E doing a 7-inch record, but Shooter and them, we got a record. So once I mentioned that to her, she goes, oh, that's the only record I got on my iPod. I'm gonna sing Miss Misery, and Blaine calls Hair of the Dog. Dick, I got 2 guests already. We got us a record. and so then we end up getting Manny Charlton, the original guitarist for Nazareth, who was their producer and produced all the stuff, and it actually produced the Appetite for Destruction demos for Guns N' Roses. So we did that, but then we end up getting Neil Fallon from Clutch to do Please Don't Judas Me, and we slowed it down and made it more psychedelic, because with these covers, we might do it the way the band did it, or we do our own thing with it, because at this point, people kind of know we're going to do our own shit.
Where's this stuff available?
Spotify, iTunes, Bandcamp, it's everywhere. Record stores, it's all on vinyl.
I was going to say, is it on vinyl?
Uh-huh.
So how did the budget, who
There's no budget.
how did the vinyl happen then?
Sawstex Records out of Texas. We had tried everybody because once we record everything ourselves, so everything pretty much I'll pay out of pocket for some guests, like for Jello Biafra sang Jim Danny the Rescue. So like we pay for his studio. A lot of people have home studios now, do it in house, but so we do all the recording ourselves, and then we were talking to Cleopatra Records, we were talking to Alternative Tentacles and all these labels, and they were wanting us to maybe do crowdfunding since there's going to be a double album for the Black Oak. But then we had a 1 week left. I'm like, I can't find nobody. Let's just put it out ourselves. Who cares? I'm tired of dealing with it. We've worked on this record for 6 years. And then JD Pincus, Butthole Surfer's like, hey, try my buddy. He puts out some kind of weird music, man, at Sawstex Records. He's in the Hickoys.
Jeff Smith?
Yeah. He's like, he might dig it.
I'm friends with Jeff Smith. I've
Jeff
known him
Smith
since.
puts out all our stuff. Yeah.
Do you remember when he was living here in Memphis in '97?
I didn't meet him till 2016 when he put out the record.
So
now I go hang out with him all the time in Texas. That's our buddy in Texas.
Well, I haven't been able to hook up, and I'm sorry I missed your show, but in '97, he was living here with his buddies, and they were in the Interstate Leisure Kings, and they played my Sore Losers premiere at the Parallax Theater downtown on Madison near the Map Room.
I actually talked to him on the phone today.
Oh, my God.
Because, he puts out all our stuff. He put out the Snowblind record and all the tribute albums.
Jeff Smith does.
Yeah. And then we played on our last tour. we always go through Texas and play his unofficial South by showcases, and we played with the Hickoys.
Yeah.
And then people will come up to me going, we played Texas, and I mentioned Jeff, and somebody goes, he used to scare the hell out of me. And I was like,
the Interstate Leisure Kings used to take turns not drinking. Like there'd be, I think if I recall correctly, Tommy Gentry and Jeff and God forgive me, I can't remember the rest of the guys, but my friend Victoria dated Tommy. But this was the halcyon days of Sore Losers, me making that movie and the scene at that time in Memphis, the garage rock scene, punk rock scene. And then they all scattered and moved back to their various, Austin, I guess.
He's San Antonio.
Yeah, okay. But you got to tag him on this. And,
hey
Jeff, what's up?
he's a trip. He's done so much to help us out.
He's a great guy.
I'm helping him today because he hollered at me because I'm going to help him book a show for Billy Bremner, who did stuff with the Rock Cats and play guitar on some Pretender stuff.
Damn. Well, Jeff is a Bowie fan, too. He told me the story about how he ran into Bowie in the supermarket.
Yeah. Oh, that's a trip. Yeah.
Oh, my God.
Yeah, I love that dude, man. He's a trip. He drove from, 52 hours the other day because he has a place called the Corn Pound. Everything with Hickoys is corn.
Okay.
Because they had an album, we did it for
I've never
corn.
seen the Hickoys.
Well, it's all corn themed. So people give him corn stuff all the time. But he started this thing called the Corn Pound, where it's a big compound that has a record store, recording studios, an antique shop, all kind of stuff in it. But he went to it's got a full analog recording studio, and he went to pick up a mastering console last week in Chicago. He is a big part of the Texas music scene still.
Well, I'd love to see Jeff. Maybe next time he comes around.
And that was the band I was talking about, played at the place across from Graceland, the cafe or whatever, was Hickoys.
So when we showed the Sore Losers on the road, we asked bands who opened for the movie to provide a tune, and then Long Gone John at Sympathy for the Record Industry was going to put the record out. It was called Shine On Sweet Starlet, which was a Super 8 film that accompanied it. And so the Interstate Leisure Kings gave us a song which was called Best Liquor Store for Window Shopping. And that was a tune that came out on vinyl on Sympathy. So you need to check that out. I actually told you something you don't know.
Right.
Yeah, wow.
Hey, send a picture. Hang on, I'll get a picture. I'm going to send that shit to him now.
Maybe we should play that. Best Liquor Store for Window Shopping.
fast as I can. Oh.
Okay, that was a complete tangent, but Jeff Smith and Tommy Gentry and the Interstate Leisure Kings back in Memphis in '97 doing Best Liquor Store for Window Shopping. If I'm wrong about that title or anything that might have happened, I apologize, and we'll have to re-edit this whole thing.
That's a small world, you know,
But
Jeff.
here's another limb I'll go out on. What did he say?
Tell Mike I said howdy.
Okay, all right. Texting with Jeff Smith. I want to say that when Sympathy put out their 20th, oh God, what was it? The best of, Long Gone John put out the best of, some sort of thing that Sympathy did, best of hits or whatever, that the Interstate Leisure Kings were on that record representing Shine On Sweet Starlight, my movie. So we'll make sure that that's
Hickory's
right.
just had their 40th anniversary show.
Damn, they're still alive.
Still going. Well, he's the sole original living member of the original lineup.
Okay.
Because Davy Jones also played with the Dicks and a bunch of bands too.
You fell into this whole tribute album thing.
Through J.D. Pincus.
So how many have you done?
If you count double albums, the Black Oak Hour was a double album.
A double album?
It was a double album.
Wow.
18 songs. Then we did the 4-song Johnny Cash EP, Hair of the Dog in its entirety. And the MC5, we basically did almost their whole discography because it's a double album, and we even did some of the singles that they just did. They covered Believe in My Soul on a demo, but we did that anyhow with Neil Turbin from the first Anthrax singer, and Jeanette Napolitano from Concrete Blonde.
Your reputation as a producer, as a organizer, as a show booker, I hope that they all appreciate the fact that you write original songs. And
yeah,
you have your
we
own
always
band
do the
and-
tributes, and then we'll put out an original album. Then we'll do a tribute album and
Yeah.
an original album, because we have 4 tributes, but like 6 albums of original, and I'm recording.
You have 6 albums of
original stuff.
Joecephus and the George Jonestown
Yeah, 'cause
Massacre.
it's all under that same name.
Let's play one more Joecephus song.
Driving Blind.
Driving Blind. Okay, this is Joecephus and the George Jonestown Massacre. Driving Blind.
One shot, 2 shot, 3 to the 4. I hit the bottle, then I hit the floor. Key to the door, to the ignition, to the drive. It's a test to make it out alive. I'm driving blind. I'm driving blind. I call shotgun. Here I go, I'm on the road again. Look like I'll always win, cause I live life my way. Pedal to the floor is how I drive. It's a test to make it out alive. I'm driving blind. I'm driving blind. You can't stop me. drive. It's a test to make it out alive. I'm driving blind. I'm driving blind. I'm driving blind. I'm driving blind.
Oh, that song is
That song.
Driving Blind.
Who plays on that?
That'd be me with Brian Costner and Daryl Stevens, who they are both in a whole ton of bands in Memphis now. And Gerald Stevens, Daryl's brother, who played organ on it. Daryl plays with Whatever Dude, Joecephus.
Is that local?
Yeah, they got costumes, kind of like Gore. They got
There's
a
a
comic
band
book.
called Joecephus and at local, and I have no
They
idea.
got a comic book.
They've got a comic book by who?
They did it themselves.
Who else would do it?
Frank Rhodes is in that band, and he did the comic, but he's also
Frank
in
Rhodes.
Grape, and also Grindle Crane, my other band I was in the 90s. Our first show was with a band called Ceramic Gas Log. Then I come to find out Frank Rhodes was in the first show I played in a club.
Which was?
Rascals. Well, I did like an Amro Jam thing before, but then we played Rascals.
You know, I'm either ashamed or proud to say that I never went to Rascals.
Man, it was a crazy club.
Because I had been converted to punk rock, and there was no need for me to go hair metal or do anything which would have been like looking backwards at that point.
Now in the band, Rudy Forster is in a band now who was in Special Shoes, but he was in Blackbone, and that's one thing I always trip down. Like, no one ever talks about Blackbone and Son of Slam, and those two bands were packing the daisy.
Son
in
of
the
Slam
90s.
was, yeah.
They were completely packing the daisy. Them and Blackbone both is just like, I know bands are playing the Antenna and everywhere, but it's like no one talks about these two cats as much, and these dudes were just filling it up.
So have you heard the folklore about the Black Flag playing the Antenna, 84?
I knew they played there, but I did not know about it.
Steve McGee, the owner, said that Satan was in the room that night.
Oh, shit.
That was his quote from the Antenna
Did he
doc
get-
that Chris McCoy did.
Ah,
Yeah, right?
that is a great doc, too.
Yeah, totally. But I didn't know if you remembered that. Like, how does Satan get in the room with Black Flag?
What was he? Did they go squirrely? I mean, was there
Squirrely?
fights? Was something happening? What?
Don't you think that their music, especially when the Rollins period, conjures up a more aggressive force?
Very
than-
aggro.
Yeah, very more so than the previous records, which I was into initially, like TV Party.
Well, they turned
and stuff
around,
like
you
that.
know, and slowed down and influenced a
Yeah.
whole nother, because they influenced that whole Melvins and everything.
Yeah, they had to slow down because I think it was too violent, right?
No, they slowed down because everybody was playing the fast stuff, and they're like, well, if everybody's playing fast, we're going to go slow.
So you don't think it conjured up more violence to play fast?
It's a whole lot of screaming in both. What they said Damaged was it the label on it was, this is not a parent record or it's an anti-parent record when it came out. My War, though, was a great record.
Do you try to get a certain sound when you record versus when you play live? Like with Black Flag, they had a certain sound when they were recorded with Greg Ginn's transistor knowledge and all that stuff.
Right.
Did they have that sound live, though, is the question.
I never seen Black Flag to that time we played with them, like the later era, so I've seen the videos and all that. But for me, it's the 5-piece lineup. The demos are better than the record.
Sure.
Because they did that one, there's some demos. Goner has the record now. It was Rollins, Chuck Dukowski, Ginn, might have been Chuck Biscuits on drums and Dez on guitar. But it's all My War and a bunch of those songs, 5-piece style. Smokes the studio versions.
When I would go see hardcore bands like Ugly Americans or Dag Nasty, Corrosion of Conformity, you weren't there to hear the record necessarily.
Right.
You were there to dance. You were there to survive. You were there to have a story to tell later. And that was that period, you know, which I think was pretty much the end of progressive rock and roll.
It all ends in the 90s, it seems.
I would say it ends earlier, but you
Because
think
my
90s?
whole take on the music thing is like, even if you have your bands, say like bands that got big in the 90s, your Soundgardens and your Rage Against the Machines and all that, and Pearl Jams, they're all talking about, we listen to Neil Young, we're listening to everything from the Meters to everything before us, where it seemed like anything after 93, all these bands, all they listen to is the bands from 93. There's no umbrella of influence. It's like you got 5 influences and you sound just like that's all you listen to.
It's like when comic book artists drew from life or anatomy studies in the 50s and 60s, but by the 70s and 80s, you were just drawing from other comic book artists.
Right.
So, yeah.
Oddly enough, because of weird bands like the Birthday Party, I don't know if you're familiar with them,
Yeah.
Nick Cave's band, that's what kind of led to the MC5 record happening in a weird way, because we opened up for the MC50 in Nashville, which was when Wayne Kramer was doing the 50th anniversary of Kick Out the Jams. It was Wayne, Brendan from Fugazi on drums, Billy Gould, Faith No More on bass, Kim Thale, Soundgarden on guitar. And we opened up. And whenever I meet these people, I don't go talk about their bands. And I had a birthday party shirt on. And it was Brendan, what's up, birthday party? That's all we talked about. Mm-hmm. Flash forward, walk around a little bit, Billy Gould, what's up, birthday party shirt, man, what's up? So then we're talking about birthday party. I walked by Kim Thale, and I was like, hey, how's it going? Release the bats. Like, what you know about that? He goes, oh, I know all about the birthday party. So that's all we talked about. So when me and Rudy rode up to that show that we played, and on the way back, Rudy Forrester, on the way back, I'm like, I bet if I gave all the profits for an MC5 tribute record to Wayne's charity, I bet I could get Kim to be the first guest. So I reached out to Brandon from Fugazi and sent him our stuff. Like, will you forward a message to Kim for me? Boom, Kim was the first guest. And then we got Danko Jones to sing, the Canadian artist, to sing Kick Out the Jams with Kim ripping the solo.
Well, now, is this the last tribute you did?
On the MC5 one. That was the thing that kicked everything off. Was
it a
Kim.
double album as well?
Yeah, it's like 19 songs, 20 songs.
And
Might be 22 songs, actually.
When did it come out?
Last September.
So Wayne Kramer was able to enjoy that.
And he posted a video. I woke up one day and looked on Facebook, and there's a reel where it's Wayne with the record. And Wayne's talking about the record. I saved it.
Oh, that's cool.
What made me happy, he goes, there's a ton of big names on this thing, and there's so many great names. He goes, but there's so many idiosyncrasies to these songs, and I'm always showing people how to play them correctly, and these dudes played their asses off. And that, for me, I was like...
He's like the Chuck Berry of the band.
I was like, holy shit, to get the thumbs up. Because there's not some easy shit to play. I mean, Kick Out the Jams is the easy one, but we did Human Being Lawnmower, we did Skunk. We went with the obscure,
so if we were going to
tracks.
play a tune right now...
Human Being Lawnmower, which is Jello Biafra singing. I'll send this to you. And it's Wayne Kramer playing the solo before he passed away.
That was Human Being Lawnmower. Who's singing on that?
Jello Biafra and the late, great Wayne Kramer ripping the solo.
And tell me once again, just a full circle, that was the project?
Yes, the album's called Call Me Animal, a tribute to the MC5, and all of our profits of sales goes to Jail Guitar Doors, which provides mentorship and instruments to inmates. It's Wayne and his wife Margaret's foundation.
The sound, the sound, the sound, the sound. Stop it, the sound.
You can see it, watch it slipping away. Watch your time, take the fast lane beside you. Like a rocket, it flies by so fast, and there's nothing you can do. So come on, let's go. Do the death rattle shake. Come on, let's go. Do the death rattle shake. Like an eagle, you were ready to fly, but you're confined at the ground as the clouds pass you by. So tragic, no magic, so static when you have everything that you want but can't have it. But you live on your knees while you stare at the trees, complain that life has passed you by. You only get one chance, you only get one shot, like it or not, so come on, let's go. Do the death rattle shake. Come on, let's go. Do the death rattle shake. Oh, you gotta find it. You gotta see it today. You gotta make it happen. No other way. Ah, yeah. Come on, let's go. Do the death rattle shake. Come on, let's go. Do the death rattle shake. Come on, let's go. Do the death rattle shake. Come on, let's go. Do the death rattle shake. Come on, let's go. Come on, let's go.
Death Rattle Shake
Death Rattle Shake.
by Joecephus and the George Jonestown Massacre.
And that'll be with Brian Costner on bass, Daryl Stevens on drums, and his brother Gerald Stevens on organ.
So, I got to say this. All right, so I'm listening to this stuff today. It's very riff heavy.
Oh, yeah.
It's very much of my background. I don't want to be like wax nostalgic here, but when I was 16, 17, I didn't really get into punk until I was 19. I remember going and buying Molly Hatchet's Flirting with Disaster. I bought every Ted Nugent album I could get my hands on at Walmart. You know, there's
Yeah.
only so much you could buy in Mississippi at the record stores. I mean, I had my Beatles blue and red records, but
Right.
very first show I ever saw was Point Blank. Point Blank was sort of like
Memphis band?
they did a song called Oh Nicole, My Sweet Nicole. It was a regional hit, and they were Southern rock, typical thing where you had about 7 guys with a triple guitar assault
Right.
kind of thing. And they played in Boonville at Northeast Mississippi Junior College, opening for Stillwater, which was the real Stillwater, not the one from Almost Famous, which was like the fake band. And then Keith Sykes.
Oh, wow.
So I saw Keith Sykes, Stillwater, and Point Blank. But Point Blank, because it was these proto-looking Doobie Brother people, except they were like not the Doobie Brothers. They all look like variations on Skunk Baxter, you know, playing this one regional hit they had. But that was sort of my middle teenage, you know, right after puberty existence of getting into music and having Southern rock as as the way to go. And seeing Ted play a million times and seeing Blackfoot.
He was
and,
great if he just shut up. Even when I seen him in 1990 or something, he was still just harping on politics. It's
But
like,
that music speaks
God, Duke
to
and
that credo, though. Honestly, if you examine what the credo is and what the subject matter is and everything.
Yeah, my first show was Iron Maiden, Twisted Sister, and D got arrested for cussing the night before.
In Memphis?
He got arrested, I think, in Jackson. And he came out just intense.
But with Ted talking about Nashville Pussy on a double
That's
live
where they
album,
got their name
that's
from.
where they got their, oh yeah, of course, they got their name from that, but nobody cared what Ted said, right?
Yeah.
Do you think that a lot of these bands in that regard, because of the political climate, will get brushed to the wayside, under the carpet?
Ted is definitely brushed away, but
think,
he's more talk than music. His later output, regardless what his political beliefs are, is not as good as what he was doing, because back then it was fire. Everything he was doing back then was fire. I mean, he's ripping. But his big strength was Derek St. Holmes singing that stuff.
Sure. Have you worked with him?
Not yet.
Yeah, he's around.
I'm searching.
God,
I love to have that dude. I think I tried to get him for one of the records, because out of the bunch of yeses I get, there's always a ton of no's, because I got a polite no from Iggy Pop. I got a polite no because I originally, for Kick Out the Jams, I was trying to get Ice-T. I was going to try for Perry Farrell, but he was having some throat surgery.
that's another good name for a band, a polite nose.
I get a ton of, so anytime people go, oh, you get all these people, I was like, there's a lot of people I don't get.
So is Iggy retired?
He still does stuff here and there, and we're doing a Stooges tribute I'm about to work on. So my plan is to reach out to him and say, look, if you'll sing a song with us, I'll give all the money to your charity.
Does he have one?
I'll find something he likes to give a
The
charity.
shirtless people of America.
Right, buy shirts for kids. But if he says no, I email with James Williamson. I've booked him some shows before.
God, he's the last guy still alive.
Yeah,
man.
so if nothing else, I say, look, James, if you'll play on this with us, I'll give all the money to whatever charity you prefer. I tried to get James on the MC5, but he goes, I never was really into him. But that was not him. That was all Ashton Brothers.
Was Williamson from Detroit?
I'm not sure, but with the Ashtons, they were the little brother band to the MC5.
Sure.
So when MC5 got 10,000 for signing, I think Stooges got like 5,000. And then once he kind of ditched them and then went looking for other musicians with him and James, and it's like, well, we can't find nobody. Let's get the Ashton Brothers again. We're talking about doing Funhouse Plus, but then as I start thinking about it, I'm like, well, with Funhouse, you got the song Funhouse, which is a big open jam, so you'd have to have whoever singing there. Then there's the LA that jam song, which is just noise. So might try to do Stooges, but kind of lean more to their Stones they didn't ever record. Was it I'm Sick of You? I Gotta Write, stuff that kind of popped
Wait,
up
so
later.
you're saying you would have a tribute just to Funhouse, like you did with
That's the
Nazareth?
plan we're talking about now.
Okay.
A tribute to Funhouse. But as I sit there and think about it, I'm like, well, the LA Blues song is just noise, so that takes out a song. Loose is good. But then if we just do a regular Stooges, but kind of lean more to the more obscure tracks that never made it to those three records, because there's a whole ton of bootleg stuff they did and recorded in studios that never came out till after the fact.
Right.
A ton of great songs.
I
Gotta Write being just a major jam.
Right. Even the books, photo books and things are coming out, and they're quite impressive.
Because right now we're in the planning stages of doing a Stooges tribute where I'm going to incorporate Chris and Russ from Thousand Lights to be the lineup of that,
Chris McCoy.
and Russ Thompson to be that lineup and do Stooges songs for this record. But at the same time, we're also doing a Joe Walsh tribute album. And at the same time as that, we're also doing as we were leaving Texas last time around we played, I seen a post from the girl that runs the High Voltage School of Rock for kids needing guitar cases and stands. I'm like, well, shit, we can just do a tribute to local Texas music and give all the money to them to help raise some money for the kids to get some instruments.
We could get Jeff Smith back in this.
Oh, he's definitely in it.
Yeah.
Oh, so already we've recorded a Legionnaire's Disease song. They were one of the first Texas punk bands. We did that with Jeff Clayton from Anti-Scene, and we just recorded Time of the Preacher, the Willie Nelson song. We did it kind of country style with I can't think of his name now, the guitar player from Pain Teens playing steel guitar, and Gary Floyd from the Dicks singing. He's already did his track and sang the hell out of it. That dude could sing.
Wow.
And of course, we're going to Jeff Smith, and already we're going to do a Pain Teen song. Lydia Lunch is going to join us with one of them.
So so your fame is like you're all over the place, man. So
But just always keep going.
well, but that also leads to gigs for your band, right? And so you're constantly touring.
Yeah, and that's what people go. They're like, well, if you give all the money to charity, what do you get out of it? It's like, I could not buy this kind of publicity. So,
Right.
like or hate my band, people will come up and go, my favorite band or my favorite singer or guitar player is on your record, so I want to see what the hubbub's about.
So, and I guess back to my point earlier that
And we couldn't buy that kind of publicity.
No. But and maybe you read that in the tour book.
Hey.
There you go. What's the name of that book again?
Tour Smart.
Tour Smart.
Martin Atkins, man, he's the man. But Pigface did it, and I even told him, I was like, "You're the inspiration for all this stuff I'm doing because it's the interchangeable lineups."
So can we play one more Joecephus song?
Sure.
And what we got left?
I don't know.
Well, Driving Blind.
Oh,
we
I did send you
Shake-
the song. I think I sent you "Shaking Street" with Alice Cooper.
We're gonna wrap it up with Alice Cooper.
Okay, well, is there one I've sent you that we've not used yet, or if not, I can send you another one.
We can play. Wait, so the Alice Cooper has who playing on it?
That is me, Rudy Forrester, Frank Rhodes, Daryl Stevens, and Alice Cooper, which is just still weird to say to this day.
Well, let's go ahead and play that. Okay, what's it called?
Shaking Street.
Little Up and Annie and Sweet Sue too. They've been coming around, gives them something to do. The mamas all wanted not to come to town. It got into the blood, now they're gonna get down. Shaking Street, it's got that beat. Shaking Street, where all the kids meet. Shaking Street, it's got that sound. Shaking Street says you gotta get down. Sammy decided to make the trip all the way from New Jersey on his girlfriend's tip. He pulled into town and met Skinny Leg Pete. Said, come here, boy, I heard about the streets. Heard about the place where all the kids go. Now I'm about to flip, I just gotta know about Shaking Street. It's got that beat. Shaking Street, where all the kids meet. Shaking Street, it's got that sound. Shaking Street, say you gotta get down. Well, the kids on Shaking Street never give in, 'cause all of their lives they've been living in sin. You know that they're bad, you know that they're mad. The take for the taking and the shake for the shaking. Shake, shake, shaking. Oh, they're shaking. Folks keep complaining, they find it so shocking. All the kids wanna do is keep on rocking. They ain't got no time to think about stopping. They gotta get down and do a little stomping. The Sally Maker wants to shake her shaker, and Bobby C says he's gonna take her to Shaking Street. He's got that beat. Shaking Street, where all the kids meet. Shaking Street, he's got that sound. Shaking Street says you gotta get down. Shaking Street, he's got that beat. Shaking Street, where all the kids meet. Shaking Street, he's got that sound. Shaking Street says you gotta get down.
All right, that was Shaking Street with Alice Cooper and members of Joecephus and the Georgetown Town Massacre.
Yes, that would be Frank Rhodes, who's also in Joecephus. He was in Special Shoes, a ton of bands. He's in Grape, a ton of bands. Daryl Stevens, who's been with me forever, who's also in Olivera. Olivera, Whatever Dude. God, a ton of bands.
Maybe
And
it's getting late. But it's
Rudy Forrester, who's in Blackbone.
So, okay, yeah, right. So, yeah, like you said, it's a collaboration.
It's a collective. Like
a collective.
The first tribute album.
It's a commune.
Was basically me, Dick Ledoux. He's our co-producer and all this stuff, so he's always playing on something or another. Because he plays bass, drums, guitar. Right. So with the Black Oak one, it was me, Daryl, and Brian, and Dave Wade, another drummer who tours with me a lot. That was the majority of it, and we had Rudy Forrester on some stuff, and then brought in a couple of guests. The Johnny Cash one was me, Dick Ledoux, and Brian Costner and W.S. Holland for all 4 tracks. The Nazareth was me, Brian Costner, and Daryl Stevens on the whole. We recorded that one all at once, and then we brought in Shane from who was in Mother Crush. He did the talk box for the Nazareth song, and we bring Gerald Stevens in on some of this stuff. And on the MC5 one, it's Jesus. Me, Brian Costner, Daryl Stevens, Rudy Forster, Dick Ledoux, Josh Stevens, who's in Glorious Abhor, 2 of the Dirty Street guys, Robert Allen Parker, Alex Green plays piano on a song, Robert Allen Parker, did I say him already? Yeah. Hope Claiborne's on a song, a whole lot of Memphis. Gerald Stevens again. So that one we try to bring in as much Memphis as possible.
You could get Susie Hendricks on sax for the Funhouse.
Who do we have? When we did the Funhouse before, we had Seth.
Oh no, okay.
He did when we did the
Seth,
we did the Funhouse in its entirety at Black Lodge one Halloween, and Seth. It was me and Chris McCoy, Russ Thompson, Jesse James Davis, and Seth played sax.
You know, when you say Russ Thompson, I don't think about him being the kind of guy that's just a power drummer.
He's also in the Margins,
yeah,
and he's playing with I think Switchblade Kid now.
He's got to be bringing it.
Oh, that dude's he's on the MC5 tracks. He's on the him and Chris McCoy and Jesse James are on I Want You Right Now, what we did with Lydia Lunch, and also on Call Me Animal, which has J.G. Thurwell from Fetus, who also does all the soundtrack stuff for Archer, the Cartoon Network show.
Sure.
And also it turned into a Fetus reunion from the touring lineup because Norman Westberg from Swans used to be in Fetus. So I'm like, hey, would you mind if I get Norm to play since he used to be in your band in the 90s? He's like, absolutely.
I guess with Russ, I'm just saying it's like I've seen him play in pop bands or garage rock bands.
Oh yeah, Russ brings it.
Yeah. But yeah, for sure, yeah. Wow.
Russ actually, because John, when we did the Bowie tribute that Graham put together in
I
Minglewood,
was on stage for that.
Yeah, well, John Pickle couldn't make it, so Russ played with us during the Super Witch part of that.
My daughter Hannah got up and we sang with Jack. We did Diamond Dogs.
Nice.
Yeah, God, that was 2016.
God, that's
8 years ago. Okay, so we're going to wrap this up talking about Alice Cooper, which, gotta say, I came to Alice late, but I've lately been listening to the first 4 or 5 albums.
When it's the full band, that first,
those, because the production, I don't know where Ezrin came in necessarily. Bob Ezrin came in.
He came in on, I think he came in on Love It to Death.
Okay.
Because the first 2 records were Zappa.
Right.
And then I think Ezrin came in on Love It to Death.
But the experience that you hear in his voice and the delivery, and he's not even probably trying that
If
hard.
you see him in those 80s videos when he was looks like a toothpick because they didn't finally admit it to like the last documentary came out. He's like, yeah, I quit drinking, but then I got into cocaine. But then you see him on Special Forces, those tours, and he looks real thin. It's like, oh, that explains why you look like a toothpick with some makeup on.
So why isn't he dead yet?
But he quit doing all that.
Just because you quit it, though.
He became golf guy. And
playing golf with Bob Hope.
Have you ever seen his schedule? It's still just ridiculous. He's nonstop.
He's no closer to Memphis than Kentucky, I noticed.
Because we got to see him at the Orpheum. I got to meet him when he came to South Haven. But yeah, I mean those was it that record?
Easy
Killers, $1 Billion Babies,
Easy
Schools
Actions,
Out. All that stuff is just wicked great albums that no one talks about because they should be up there with like the Black Sabbath Volume 4 and the Zeppelins.
Well,
it's up there to me.
Black Sabbath, I think, I don't know if they're overrated, but to me, Alice Cooper, there's a certain
more diverse.
Well, the critics intelligentsia like Lester Bangs hated Alice Cooper and loved the Stooges. Of course, these days, wouldn't it be nice if we had anything like that?
Right. Because I love how he would go from Hello Hooray and stuff like that to Raped and Freezing and $1 Billion Babies, and it's just like it's all over the place. He was jumping
Ballad
genres.
of Dwight Fry.
Yeah.
Right, because they didn't really have any.
Yeah.
They weren't worried about anything, and I think Zappa was their friend who was getting them places. And the most, to me, the all important thing is they didn't have to succeed on the first album. Of course, they wanted to.
Right.
It took them 4 albums, like Kiss.
The big push.
Or pick a band,
Because
period.
Kiss, what, 3 albums? There was a live one that really...
Right.
And who thought that the double album live was going to really sail them off into the big league?
I think when you multi-layer crowd noise, it is psychological. It's like Orwellian. It's like, I must go see Kiss now. But yeah, you're given time to grow as a band.
There's no growing nowadays.
No, and I mean, can you believe that Robbie Krieger's first song he ever wrote was "Light My Fire"?
That's crazy. And that's one thing I seen Chad Smith from the Chili Peppers talking about, which he goes, because most people don't think about when you think John Bonham. That first album is like, he didn't grow. He came out fully formed on that first record, and he's 19 or 20.
He's that young?
Yeah, on that first record, him and Plant both. And he's like, but you hear all that stuff he's doing, those crazy little triplets he's doing with the double. They came out sounding like that right out the gate.
So explain the whole Alice Cooper connection with you.
I've loved Alice Cooper. My uncle, oddly enough, I had a cousin. My parents were doing something, and they dropped me off to stay at my cousin's house. And he played me Nazareth Hair of the Dog, and then he played me Alice Cooper's Greatest Hits, and let me borrow them. Or he let me borrow the Greatest Hits. And those really had a big impact. So, and he lives in Texas now, and he came out, and I got to finally tell him, like, you're the guy that hooked me up hearing this stuff. And we got to record with the original guitar player from Nazareth, Manny, and you played me that, and you played me Alice, and we got to just work with fucking Alice. And for me, that was the...
So when you say you worked with Alice, were you in the same room with her?
No.
Okay. So
I met him before in the same room, but this was mainly was dealing with his right-hand guy.
So you met him in South Haven. God, you should have met him at the Coliseum.
And I sent him a thing, and I kind of I sent my pitch and what we do, and they're like, well, you might do a song, you might not, and that took a while. And it's like, he's on board. Well, he might do Shakin' Street, or he might do Ramblin' Rose, because I wanted him Human Being Lawnmower. I want some crazy old school Alice. And he's like, he wants Shakin' Street, I guess, because that's the one that Sonic Smith wrote.
Okay.
Fred Smith wrote that one. I was like, hey, whatever, as long as we got Alice, but I'd love to have him on some more crazier tracks, go old school, but hey, I'll take what I can get.
Okay, I would be remiss if I did not talk about Tupelo, where I'm from, where your studio is.
Yes, sir.
Give me a couple minutes on the whole Tupelo recording experience.
Dick LeDoux has a studio. It used to be in Memphis, MAP Studios, Mighty All Poops. And then when he moved out to Tupelo, we were recording at his house, but now there's a house that's a studio where bands can record and also stay there while they're in town, and it's like 2 blocks off Main Street. So we go record there, and we'll go walk over to Main Street, get some pizza, and one time I think it was Scannerd and Tesla were playing, so we finished recording the song for the MC5 tribute and walked over, got a drink, and walked on over to the show.
You talking about East Main, where Elvis's birthplace?
I'm not sure. I'm not as familiar with Tupelo. It's the first time I've really been out there a bunch.
I'll
That's
give
where
you
we
a
go
tour of
record all the
Tupelo.
time.
I'll show you the places where the bodies are buried.
It's the little arena they got there,
Yeah.
where that's right by our studio. So
Yeah.
we go there and just record
Well, that's
all the
East
time.
Main.
Okay.
Yeah. All right. Wow. Well, yeah, that's Shake. And if you cross the tracks, that's Shake Rag. And then you go by the old fairgrounds where the Elvis statue is. And
Nice.
it's right there. And that's the Penny's, used to be the Penny's Mall when I was growing up. And now it's this arena. Well, not arena, but live performance venue.
Well, yeah.
I saw the Beach Boys there a while back.
There was a place there we used to play. We played there once called the Thirsty Devil that closed during the pandemic because as we were playing, a ton of bikers came in. And it went great, and they loved us. And then after the show, the club was like, "Oh, that was great! You brought a ton of people here." Well, like but really, we didn't know any of these people. They just happened to be a bike gang that came in and liked us and brought more bikers in there, and it packed out the place.
Right, bikers on cell phones going, "Get over here!
Come on, man, get your bike."
So, tell me again the name of the studio in Tupelo?
MAP Studios, Mighty All Poops.
And I guess it's around East Main.
Yeah,
Somewhere.
2 blocks from there on Magazine Street.
Wow. Okay. Next time I'm down there, I'll be on the lookout.
Yeah. It's the house that we record at and record all this stuff at now.
Oh, wow. All right. Well, thanks for sharing that.
Yes, sir.
All right. So listen, let's go out on a tune. I have no idea what you want to play. Do you have something off the top of your...
We have not played 1,000 Lights, so I'll get you a 1,000 Lights song.
Okay. And who's the lineup here?
That is Chris McCoy, Russ Thompson, and Jesse James Davis.
All right. Here we go. Thank you for
being
being
on the show. And we're working on
the
new
show.
1,000 Lights record.
I want to see it. We'll have you back.
Awesome. Thank you, sir.
Is this a vinyl record?
I'm not sure what we're doing with this yet. We're still on getting it all together.
Okay. It's a pleasure.
Thank you.
To
You
talk
too.
to you.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you. Right, that was a thousand. That was 1,000 lights, and I got to say, this is a postscript for Savad. Savad, Memphis Horror Host, 62 to 72. I swear to God, I thought I was going to bring this up at the very beginning because we were supposed to be chronological. Let's start in 62. Let's start when your dad was like in high school or something. But or maybe have your dad on to talk about Savad. But I got to say, real quick, we'll just do this real quick in our terms. I pitched these guys at Black and White. I said, let's reissue Savad Berry's Rock and Roll from 63, which was a huge seller locally. Let's talk about regionalism, right?
Right.
And they went along with it, and but COVID interrupted it, but it came out, and whole package, blood red vinyl.
Looks good.
Notes that you got it, right?
Yeah. I gave one to my dad.
There you go. So I'd be interested in, and we're going to, when we go out, we'll play a song. We'll play Savad Berry's Rock and Roll, which will, I don't know if it's anticlimactic or like the greatest thing in the world. But if it follows Alice Cooper, maybe it makes
it makes sense.
It makes a certain kind of sense. You want to give me some spiel on your dad and Savad? And let me set this up. So you gave, or your dad gave you to give us a picture that's on the back cover of the EP or record, 45 record. Watson Davis putting his makeup on in a hotel room, which is amazing. And there was another photo.
There's another picture where it's him without his makeup with a lady and my dad sitting at probably the Western Steakhouse Lounge.
I didn't use that one in the record because I was trying to conceptually fit it.
Right, the makeup one made sense.
That made complete sense. Go ahead, tell me about all that.
But yeah, he gave that to me a while back, and I guess he said that Savad used to scare me when I was little because my dad and Eddie Bond would film their show. I think it was very early in the mornings, and I guess Savad would be filming his show too. But he said that Savad always scared me because I was like probably 2, I think. And he goes, Savad scared me. But he had him sign a picture to Bobby Joe Killingsworth II. And I guess he signed that like in 1972.
That was the last year he was on for
so
WHBQ.
So he signed that then. And then I gave it to you because I was like, yeah, it's just so weird.
So when you're driving down Highland and you turn there off Poplar and you're heading south, you drive right by Channel 13, which is where Savad finished the second part of the Fantastic Feature show.
Wow.
So that's where it would have all happened. So did your dad hung out with him?
They were friends. Yeah. I'm not sure if they hung out or if they just kind of would talk to each other while they were both recording because the Eddie Bond show originally was like 15 minutes, I believe. It would air in the morning.
Yeah.
And I think they would film their stuff and then film Savad stuff. And then later on, my dad and them, they had the show that ended up going to, I think it was Fox, and I think it was like 30 minutes or an hour or something. And that went on to the 90s.
What was that called?
Eddie Bond Show.
Full circle to Eddie Bond. And
it all goes back to, and I was telling him earlier, Jerry Lawler got his start with Eddie Bond also. And then I have a drum head that Jerry Lawler had painted for my dad when Jerry was 16. He painted Bobby Killingsworth. And when I was starting to play drums when I was 14, 15, I was going through, I'm going to clean it up. It's looking a little dirty. And I had a wet rag and all of a sudden started kind of watercolors. But I salvaged and I stopped in a nick of time because that was my dad. Like, hey.
Jerry Lawler using watercolors?
Yeah, because he would draw all those cartoons in and send them into Eddie and Jackie, and they lived all this stuff. But so I guess when Jerry did some kind of exhibit at one of the bookstores in the last 10 years or so, or the last 20 years, I went up to the thing with that drum head, and I was just holding it. And Eddie or Jerry was talking to somebody. He's like, he seen that drum head. Like, whoa, my. So I had him sign it to me and my dad. And I guess he painted that in 1968.
Jeez.
And so I still got that. And I was telling him one time Blue Oyster Cult was playing at the fair.
Blue Oyster Cult.
And Jerry was there, and I had the sleeveless shirts and stuff. I was walking up to Jerry going, hey, Jerry. And he's kind of backing up. I went, no, man, my dad's Bojack. And he's like, oh. Like, I ain't trying to freak you out or nothing walking up on you. But yeah, my dad.
Did you see Blue Oyster Cult at 616 in 97?
I did not. I seen Motorhead at 616 in 98 though, and that was awesome. And the Ramones, did you go to that?
I was shooting the Sore Losers at the Antenna Club that night.
Ramones, the show that never ends, man.
I saw them at Mud Island, but I didn't see that show. Was
that the Escape? My friend went and seen the Escape from LA or Escape from New York show
with Blondie and Tom Tom Club.
Yeah, I missed that one.
Hey, it's a pleasure having you on.
Man, thank you so much for having me.
Thank you. We're going to go out with Savad, or did we already play Savad? I can't remember. All right. This Savad buries rock and roll, but it won't bury Joey Killingsworth.
I appreciate it.
Good evening. I am Savad, your monster of ceremonies. I'm glad you could come. Welcome to our hootenanny. Do you dig? Grab a shovel and fall right in.
Hey, what y'all gonna do?
Long, too long I've had to listen. The beat has had its day. We've come to bury rock and roll and leave it here to stay.
Gee, can I help?
Dig me a deep, dark hole in the ground. Keep right on digging, cat. Believe it or not, man, this is the plot. Man, it's gotta be deeper than that.
Look, Pa, I'm digging.
I suppose that grave is deep enough. Throw in those records, Ed. This is the end, man. Start a new trend, man. Rock and roll is dead.
What did y'all do with my Mozart album?
Dig me a deep, dark hole in the ground. Keep right on digging, cat. Believe it or not, man, this is the plot, man. It's gotta be deeper than that. Long, too long I've had to listen. The beat has had its day. We've come to bury rock and roll and leave it here to stay. And I do mean stay.